The Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek Williams, have stated that in the coming hours, the citizen Edmundo Gonzalez will be supposed to testify before the Prosecutor's office. Palestine denounced at the United Nations the genocide perpetrated by Israel in the Gaza Strip, which is increasing the health and famine crisis in the region. And Russian armed forces carried out in August 16 group against Ukrainian armed forces positions. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll be with the news. Stay with us. The Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek Williams, have stated that in the coming hours, the citizen Edmundo Gonzalez will be supposed to testify before the Prosecutor's office. Saab summoned the main opposition leader to render statements on his rejection of the final judgment issued by the Supreme Court of Justice, in which the re-election of President Nicolás Maduro was ratified. The Attorney General stated that González Urrutia did not recognize the electoral results given by the National Electoral Council, nor the ratification of the Supreme Court of Justice. The Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek Williams, have urged countries not to violate international law and not to meddle in the decision of the Venezuelan institutions.
Venezuela must be respected. Those who have issued opinions about foreign countries regarding the decisions of Venezuelan democratic institutions are violating international law. Consequently, they obviously create an important precedent contrary to democracies worldwide, where Venezuela has been an example of non-intervention and respect for the self-determination of the peoples.
Also, the government of Venezuela condemned in an official communique the statement issued by several countries of the region in relation to the recent Supreme Court's ruling on the presidential elections result, and affirmed that these governments intends to continue violating the international law. The Venezuelan communique, which was issued through the Bolivarian Nations Foreign Minister Ivan Gil, stated that Venezuela rejects in the strongest term the rude and insolent statement released by the governments of Argentina, Costa Rica, Chile, Ecuador, United States, Guatemala, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Dominican Republic, and Uruguay. The document denounced that the 11 governments intend to continue violating international law by committing an unacceptable act of interference in matters that only concerns Venezuelans. In other part of the text, the stress Venezuela demands absolute respect for its sovereignty and independence won after intensive struggle against the most hostile empires, which intends to get in their hands on natural resources and do not belong to them. The communique also sentenced that these governments, with their position, endorse and become accomplices of the criminal violence that attacked health centers, schools, universities, means of transportation and national symbols, and left a number of people murdered and wounded with the use of transnational criminal gangs hired for that purpose.
The Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela rejects in the strongest terms the rude and insolent communiques of the governments of Argentina, Costa Rica, Chile, Ecuador, United States, Guatemala, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Dominican Republic, and Uruguay, who, emulating the infamous failed and defeated Lima Group, pretend to continue violating international law, committing an unacceptable act of interference in matters that only concern Venezuelans.
Also in Venezuela, massive mobilization takes place in the country's capital, Caracas, to ratify its support for the law against fascism and similar expressions. This march is aimed at preventing future acts of violence against the stability of the country and establishes elements such as the guarantee of political rights and peace, the prevention of hatred, and the protection of society. This march is in support of this law tool and is organized by the United Socialist Party of Venezuela. The President of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, reiterated that in the face of the electoral issue in Venezuela, he will act in concordance with the indications of the Mexican Constitution.
Then, let's wait for the results. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I know that there is a wave of disqualifications and condemnations of the Venezuelan government. But we have to act, I repeat, in accordance with our Constitution.
The Mexican head of state said that he will wait for the results of the presidential elections in Venezuela to be published before making a decision.
Yesterday, the Venezuelan Electoral Tribunal stated that President Maduro won the election. And at the same time, recommended the release of the results. I believe there is a date in the resolution, so let's wait.
Let's take a very short break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. During his visit to Cuba, the Nigerian Nobel Prize winner Wole Soyinkan talked with teleSUR and stressed the following.
Politics are unpredictable, but for me, art is eternal. The variety occupies the mind. The intensity of that occupation is one which presents a constant challenge, but at the same time, as I said, provides solace. Art is a sanctuary, not just individual alone, but collective. As you can see when you visit galleries, when you go to theater, when you go to a music hall, a concert hall, you see that it's both individual and collective. That's why I think that despite all the pains, all the frustrations, sometimes even failures, to be engaged in that occupation for me is one of the greatest gifts to mankind.
In the context of the international conference, New Narratives, Memories, Resistance, and Reivindication hosted between the Cuban Ministry of Culture and UNESCO, the Nigerian author state.
Well, first of all, I hope for Cubans it's memory. Cuba has had some glorious moments of heroism, of dignity, refusing to knuckle under powerful but selfish, self-centered neighbors like the United States, for instance, before the revolution. So Cuba is something for us, even on the African continent, to point out as possibilities, despite all the difficulties, despite the inhuman privations, and I'm talking about sanctions. Despite all of that, Cubans have kept their dignity. So it's one of the reasons why we cannot let Cuba go from Africa, because it represents certain values which are important to us also as human beings.
Our Hours of terror were lived on Friday in the martyrs of the Al-Aqsa Hospital in the Gaza Strip when Israeli tanks raid the area. Our correspondent Huda Hegazi with the details.
Yesterday, we lived one of the most terrifying nights here inside the martyrs of Al-Aqsa Hospital in a governorate of Deir al-Balah in the center of the Gaza Strip.
Aproximadamente a las 3 de la mañana, testigos oculares nos informaron de que los mecanismos militares habían empezado
At approximately 3 o'clock in the morning, eyewitnesses informed us that the military mechanisms had begun to move in and were right at the entrance of this governorate, which is literally 1 kilometer away from the hospital.
Nosotros empezamos a escuchar cómo los tanques se aproximaban hacia nosotros e incluso
Immediately after this warning, we started to hear how the tanks were approaching and even how the artillery shells started to be launched by these tanks of the Israeli occupation army. Right away, the situation was turned upside down. Not only in this hospital, but in almost all the area, the sick, the patients that were inside this hospital were getting ready to leave the buildings in a disconsolate way without knowing where to go. Even we, the media, did not know where to go. We did not even know what we should do, whether to stay inside this hospital or on the other hand leave, because our lives were also in grave danger. And after 2 hours of continuous fear, hearing continuously the artillery shells fired by the tanks and how the tanks proceeded to advance until they were very close to us. After these 2 terrifying hours, there was a partial withdrawal of the Israeli mechanisms that are now being positioned in an area called the mills, which is located approximately 2 kilometers from this hospital. Therefore, we can say that this hospital is no longer a safe area. Even the Gazans, the evacuees, do not feel that this hospital is a safe area because they fear that at any time the Israeli army can raid this hospital, and the scenario that the Gazans saw in the Al-Shifa hospital. In the Kamal Adwan hospital and even in the Nasser hospital in the governorate of Kanjunis could be repeated in this hospital. At this moment, we are prepared for any scenario, and literally, the Gazatis fear that the occupation army will enter this hospital, and we could say that in that case, the only remaining active hospital in the center of the Gaza Strip would be out of service. And this would collapse the health system in this coastal enclave.
Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to watch interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and active the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. One final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. Russian armed forces carried out in August 16 group attacks against Ukrainian armed forces positions. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, the strikes were carried out with precision weapons and drones, which destroyed airfields, infrastructure, ammunition depots, and Ukrainian rockets or artillery weapons. Their government body assured that all targeted facilities were hit, such as field bases supplying military equipment to the Kiev regime's army. The government of Iceland confirmed the eruption of the Sunhunkur volcano and ordered the evacuation of the residents of the city of Grindavik. Local authorities declared a state of emergency on the southwest coast due to a volcanic activity in the fishing municipality of Regjanes Peninsula. At the same time, they confirmed the progress of almost a total evacuation of the volcano's surroundings, although the exact rate of evacuation is unknown. Nigeria's authorities report more than 217 deaths and 200 injured after the torrential rains and floods hit several regions of the country. The government of the African nation has given instructions to prepare a budget to help the victims and has allocated 18.3 million euros to attend to the problems caused by the rains. According to the local media, Nigeria normally registers heavy rains from June till the end of September, and thousands of victims are expected as a result of the current rainy season. At least 14 people died and 16 were injured in Nepal after a bus fled into the river in the district of the Tanhum. According to the reports, the bus was carrying around 43 Indian pilgrims who had left the tourist city of Pokhara for the capital of Nepal, Kathmandu. The Nepalese police forces indicate that several passengers are still missing after the bus swerved into the rocky area of Prithvi in the direction of the fast-following Mars-Yangni River. Health authorities in the Democratic Republic of the Congo reported 11 positive cases of monkeypox. According to the specialists, 7 of the 35 health zones in the capital city are affected by the epidemic. The nation's Ministry of Health is promoting a response to the virus, which includes raising public awareness, preventions, and follow-up of patients in order to break the chain of the transmission of the disease. On Friday, Deputy Foreign Minister of China, Chen Xiaodong, stressed the importance of both the upcoming summit of the Forum of China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC, and the role of the Belt and Road Initiative for Africa. In addition, 53 African countries' FOCAC members will be attending the event to be held in early September this year. The Deputy Foreign Minister disclosed that President of China Xi Jinping will announce another package of aid to Africa at the opening ceremony. Furthermore, the diplomat shared his point of view on the matter.
China and Africa will actively implement the outcomes of the summit and take advantage of their respective strengths to ensure practical cooperation in various fields is increasingly substantial and to create a high-quality model for building the Belt and Road Initiative together. China is willing to take the summit as an opportunity to strengthen alignment of its development strategies with those of Africa, promote win-win outcomes, and accelerate the path of joint development between China and Africa.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English and from the south, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.